Welcome back to Simple Physique. Immune health is on everyone's minds right now, and I want to discuss the idea that our very minds and their associated thought patterns have a direct impact on our immune system function. I'm not talking about some hippy-dippy, positive thoughts will heal me, hashtag good vibes only BS. I'm talking about the very real and down-to-earth study of epigenetics. And yes, this is a fitness channel, but without a healthy body and mind, physical fitness and attaining your desired physique becomes very difficult. So much of a fitness journey and achieving goals is mentality and consciousness, which is the topic we're going to be focusing on today, specifically how mentality affects your physical health and immune system function. You see, thousands of years ago, our ancestors had very real predators that threatened their daily lives. Their bodies and brains adapted, creating the appropriate response in order to best ensure survival. We call this response fight or flight, a response in which the brain puts all hands on deck, pumping adrenaline into the bloodstream. The heart starts beating faster than normal, increasing blood pressure and pumping more blood into the muscles and vital organs. Airways in our lungs open wider to allow more oxygen to the brain in order to increase alertness. And all of these responses happen before we can even think about it, giving us the best chances to outrun the threat. Even though we're probably not running from tigers anymore, this response is still very active in us today. Only now we create the tigers that chase us. Now we're running from bills, traffic jams, work pressures, family difficulties, health concerns, viruses, etc. Any thoughts that instill a fear or stress response will initiate the fight or flight syndrome. The problem is how often and persistently our lives can be filled with these stressors, constantly worrying about the next tiger lurking around the corner. This continual surge of adrenaline can damage blood vessels and arteries, leading to high blood pressure, heart attack, and stroke. These consistently elevated levels of adrenaline are also releasing cortisol, our body's stress hormone, which is meant to balance out the energy we use to fight the perceived threat. Unfortunately for us, this balance comes in the form of increasing our appetite and promoting fat storage, ensuring that we have the energy to fight another day. Indirectly, this fight or flight system that's been built to protect us can wreak havoc on us physiologically and psychologically, increasing the risk of many health problems like anxiety, depression, heart disease, sleeping problems, weight gain, and digestive problems. Okay, so what does this all have to do with the immune system? Well, if we're constantly in this fight or flight mode, our brains and bodies are allocating its resources to fighting off these outside threats, taking away crucial resources it needs to fight the potential inside threats, like creating antibodies to foreign substances such as viruses and bacteria. In fact, when we do get sick, our bodies literally force us to stay down and not move. I'm sure you're familiar with those body aches, headaches, and muscle soreness during a bad flu. That's the result of our white blood cells doing their job, fighting off the infection that's trying to attack our insides. Think about it. If your body's put into a position where it has to decide between running from an immediate threat like a tiger or fighting off a cold, where do you think it's going to focus its energy? Obviously, you can deal with the cold later. Right now, you need to get away from that tiger that's chasing you, or there won't be any cold to fight off. Put simply, everything in our lives that induce fear or stress raises cortisol levels and reduces our immune system's capabilities in protecting us from those tiny microscopic threats that can make us fall ill. Now, one of the main factors that determines how well we handle stress is our genetics. The activation of our stress response is literally written into our DNA. Or is it? Enter epigenetics. Epigenetics means above or on top of genetics and is the study revolving around external changes to DNA that turn specific genes on or off. Epigenetics tells us that we can change how our cells read our genes. One of the leading minds behind this study is Dr. Bruce Lipton, who's been tackling this amazing phenomenon since the 1980s. He was recently interviewed by Brian Rose on London Real, so I'll put a link in the description. You'll definitely want to go check that out. But what he teaches us is that our destiny is not determined by our DNA, but that fear and anything that induces stress unlocks the parts of the genes that bring out disease and inhibit immune function. The key here is reducing stress and reprogramming the brain to change how it deals with the world. Again, I'm not saying that positive thoughts alone will keep you from catching coronavirus, getting sick, or prevent any sort of predisposed disease that's written into your genetic code. Advising you of this would be dangerous, irresponsible, and scientifically unsound. What I am saying is that living in constant fear or stress triggers the fight or flight syndrome, which raises cortisol and takes away from your immune system's ability to properly defend itself from viruses and diseases. And yes, that stress and fear starts with your thoughts and the way you perceive everyday life. And here's the thing, I can't tell you, hey, stop being so stressed out or stop living in fear. That won't work. Our brains have been programmed through our genes and throughout our lives, but I am telling you that you can teach an old dog new tricks. I'm talking about reprogramming the brain, reprogramming how we react to the world around us. Why is it that two people can deal with adversity in completely different ways? One person freezes up and feels like the world is crumbling on top of them. The other identifies the problem and looks for the best way to navigate through it. They see it differently, and that's what I'm talking about here. Changing our perspective on uncomfortable situations. I don't sit here thinking that this is something as easy as flipping a switch. It does take some practice and self-awareness. Let me share with you some places that you can start. First, people, places, and things. Accept that you have no control in any of these departments. Sometimes we think we do, but we don't. Have you ever tried changing someone's mind? How often has that worked? Also, understand that there are no big deals. Sometimes big things happen in life, but we tend to inflate them and make them a lot scarier and threatening than they really are. Have you ever experienced a super stressful situation where you thought your world was gonna fall apart, that there was no way you were gonna make it out alive? You're still here, aren't you? You made it through. And guess what? You're probably stronger because of it. In fact, it's always adversity that helps us grow and become stronger. Every time we get through something uncomfortable, we know how to deal with it better the next time a similar situation presents itself. And I called it an uncomfortable situation for a reason. Stop labeling things good or bad. Life is incredibly dynamic, and unfortunately, we can't expect things to be peachy all the time. Sometimes life hurdles us out of our comfort zone, but we tend to punish ourselves a second time when we get upset or stress about it. Accepting what life throws at you with a level head will allow you to walk through events much easier. I wish there was a way I could just say, do this and you won't have any more stress in your life, but I can't. Life will always be presenting comfortable and not so comfortable moments. It's up to you, however, what you want to do with those uncomfortable times. This video is meant to be a starting point for self-exploration and to remind you that you are a lot more powerful than you may think. There are plenty of areas you can look into for mindful awareness. Personally, I love the philosophy of Stoicism, which has been around for thousands of years and is about dealing with life's pressures with ease and reducing worry. It goes much deeper than that explanation alone, but that's the rough idea. And of course, there's meditation and yoga, to name a couple other areas you can look into, but none of these are the be-all end-all. What matters is that you find something that helps you reprogram your brain from its default state of fear, stress, and worry. Because when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And through epigenetics, science is starting to prove that our brain chemistry and thought processes can have a direct effect on our cells and DNA behavior. On a physical level, if you aren't implementing some sort of exercise, now's the time to start. Brisk walks, jogs, yoga, it doesn't have to be anything high intensity. Anything that gets the blood circulating is known to reduce cortisol levels and inhibit stress. How's your nutrition? Staying away from processed crap and getting an array of whole food sources will likely give your body all the vitamins you need. When your body is properly nourished, it's also capable of handling stressors much more efficiently. Now, I'm not a doctor, so please refer to yours to see if you have any actual vitamin deficiencies. Lastly, it's become more and more apparent that lack of sleep has a debilitating effect on stress and cortisol levels, and ultimately, the immune system. The recommended amount is 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. It's time to prioritize this if you haven't already. This mindfulness I've been talking about in this video can be carried throughout everything in your life. I found it important to discuss the subject on this fitness channel because it goes hand in hand with any fitness journey. So much of that journey is the mental game, including mental strength and the ability to not overcomplicate the process. There's also a lot of things happening in the world right now that can understandably bring on much fear and stress. But life is always going to have times like this, whether it's on a global scale or personal. Accepting this fact will help better prepare you for life's curveballs, and I truly hope this video can wake you up, steering you in a direction that will help you walk through life a little easier. So thanks for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Stay safe and healthy out there, and I'll see you in the next one.